Hi guys, it's Michelle. Sundays are really busy in my house with all the laundry. I mean, if any of you have kids, you know laundry is never ending. With breakfast, with family time, with planning meals for the week, it's all hectic. I was planning on making a quick and simple meal where I can take leftovers to work. But then I looked in the fridge and said, oh, my tomatoes are going to go bad and I need to cook with them today. So I decided to make ratatouille. Now, ratatouille is not quick at all, but it's fairly simple. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. My favorite way is coming right up, so come cook. Our ingredients today consist of olive oil, a can of crushed tomatoes. This is a 28-ounce can. Some garlic, sugar, salt, paprika, herbs de Provence, pepper if you're going to use it. I'm not. Parmesan cheese, onion, heavy whipping cream, also balsamic vinegar, a red pepper. We're cutting this part in half. For the ratatouille itself, it requires 2 eggplants. I'm going to use 1. This is a Chinese eggplant. It's almost the same size of the zucchini and the squash, so I feel that it gives it a nicer look. So we're going to use 1, 1, and 1 instead of 2, 2, and 2. That's eggplant, squash, and zucchini. Also, it calls for 4 tomatoes. We're going to use 2 today and 1 red pepper. Also, we're using fresh basil and thyme. These come from my garden, so we need to soak it, make sure there's not any bugs in there, and make sure it's nice and clean. The pan is hot. I'm going to put some olive oil. And I will add my onion and the red pepper. We will be sauteing these until they get nice and tender and translucent for about 4 to 5 minutes. Try not to let them get browned because that's not the taste we're looking for in this sauce. So now that we are translucent here, in around 5 minutes, I'm going to add the garlic. And it's about 4 cloves of garlic, so excuse the sound because I'm going to add everything that's in there. This little cheat with a toothpaste garlic that I call it, it's so great. I like it so much better than the one that comes in the glass jar because that doesn't even taste like garlic. This tastes exactly like fresh garlic. So we've cooked this down for a minute. Now it's really starting to smell nice. This has cooked for a minute. I'm going to add the herbs de Provence, the paprika, the salt, and the thyme. Add that, move it around, get the spices nice and toasty. And I will add the crushed tomatoes. We want to get this moving. And to this, I will add 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, to which I've added a teaspoon of sugar. The sugar will balance out the acidity of the tomatoes, and the balsamic vinegar adds a nice flavor to your sauce. So we'll let this come back to heat. So now that it is hot, I'm going to put it on low, and I will simmer it for about another 5 minutes. Let all those flavors incorporate into the sauce, and I'll come back with the heavy cream and the basil. Now it's been more than 5 minutes actually. It's been more like 8 to 10 minutes since I was helping the girls out. We will add the basil. At this point, if you're vegan, no, they're playing with makeup. At this point, if you're vegan, you can stop and the sauce is ready. If you're not, like me, add the 1/2 cup of heavy cream to the sauce. So I actually drove by my sister's house to drop off the minestrone. Since this whole COVID thing started, they've both been out of work and they're vegan, so I dropped off the minestrone so they can have some soup. But this one's not for them. Sorry, guys. So you just turn the heat off, stir that around, and your sauce is done. We need to remove this off the heat, but before we do so, I want to give it a taste. Typically, I'll let my sauces cook for a lot longer than this one. That's really good, guys. But we are going to bake this. So let's move on over here. So I'm taking this off the heat, actually. Move on over here, and here I sliced by hand. You can use a mandolin. I was going to use that, but I didn't want to set it up. My food processor doesn't slice. If you had a food processor that sliced, that would be good too. This is the eggplant. See how it's almost the same size, the Chinese eggplant, as the zucchini? I love that. As a squash, sorry. There's zucchini, there's tomatoes. Put this all in this baking dish. I'm only doing 1/2 of what the recipe calls for because I'm in a hurry. I don't have that much time. And I want it as a side. I don't want it as the main dish. I'm my oven to 375. I'm gonna grab my sauce. And I wanna use a good bit of it, if not all of it, for the base. So I'm going to put it in the baking dish. And this will serve as a bed, if you will, for our vegetables. You want to reserve some, don't use all of it. Reserve some to pour on top of the vegetables. By doing little stacks. It might be easier to separate an area and just stack these up. So I'm going to do that. We're building our little stacks. So I'm just grabbing an eggplant, a squash, a zucchini, let's put it underneath, and a tomato. It's okay if they're not completely even. Drives me crazy actually, but it'll do. And then once we have our little stacks, we're gonna grab them. We're gonna come over here and start placing them alongside the edge of our baking dish. Just get them in that sauce. So basically I'm just gonna go around the edge of the baking dish and set everything up. Nice this is turning out. It's beautiful. Only problem is I've run out of tomatoes, but I have another one. So I'm gonna end up using 3 tomatoes. I think that's enough of the other vegetables though. Let me keep going. I'm gonna slice this up and keep setting up the little stacks, and we'll pop it in the oven. We're done with the setup. I'm going to sprinkle some salt on top of the vegetables, and I'm going to spoon the remainder of the sauce in between. So let's get rid of this and remove this. Sprinkle the sauce. Between the vegetables. They're still playing with makeup. Trying to get them both to share. So just press it in there, let it go between all the vegetables. And then I'm gonna top this with some olive oil and some thyme. So I'll finish this and grab my olive oil and thyme. Let's get it between all those vegetables. I'll be right back. Technically, I shouldn't have put that much sauce over it because you should still see the vegetables, and this should go over the vegetables. But you know what? I didn't want to save the sauce, so I used all of it. And that's okay. It really is. As long as it has all this goodness on it, it's gonna taste great. Cover this with foil, and I'm gonna stick it in a 375-degree oven for 50 minutes. After 50 minutes pass, I'm going to take off the foil and put around half a cup of Parmesan cheese. That way it'll get nice and toasty. It's been 50 minutes, and it still looks the same because I put so much sauce. So I'm gonna put the half a cup of cheese. So I'll just put this all over the top. And I'll push this back in. I had a feeling it was gonna overflow a little bit, so I put baking sheet under there so it can catch all the drippings. I'm going to bake this for 10 more minutes, and then we're done. It's out of the oven, and you can tell we still used way too much sauce, but the vegetables are in there. See how pretty that looks? I'm gonna plate it and have a taste. So now we're gonna taste this. This is still very hot, and I really should probably wait, but I'm not waiting. Let's have a taste. These vegetables are so good. They're fully cooked. The spices come through. That sauce tastes delicious. You can taste the tomato sauce, the Parmesan cheese that I put on top. You can taste the thyme, the basil. That red pepper gives it a nice sweet balance. And these vegetables are perfectly cooked. That was so good, guys. Next time I have to remember that if you have the ingredients, you should probably not use all that sauce. But I love the way it tastes anyway. So until next time, if you like what we made today, don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe for more recipes. Bon appetit!